Veritas Aquitus by Bones Boy 15, Chapter 3, Knock Hard. It seems we're not the first ones here, Sasuke said dryly as he took note of the girl that Naruto and Kurama had deemed his female self. She was not alone, as with her was the blonde bombshell that made every internal Naruto sense go off. I had to backtrack at least 2 miles to find you. Of course, we're not going to be the first ones here. Kurama rolled his eyes and nodded at the girls. Ladies, a pleasure. No, not if. No, no, it is not. Sasuke shook his head. Kurama gave his partner a confused look. Why not? Hey, you're the handsome guy that hung out with Whisker Boy, Yang said with a grin as she pointed at Sasuke. She gave him a flirtatious wink. You rethink my offer of having a yanging threesome? Kurama looked horrified. Oh dear, she's just like him. I know. Sasuke cut Kurama off. He put a hand on his glasses-wearing friend's shoulder. Give yourself a minute to come to terms with it. Kurama braced himself on his knees with his staff as he shuddered. Oh, merciful why do you hate me? I asked myself that too, Sasuke said with a nod. I mean, a female Sasuke I could handle. Hell, it was almost welcomed. Sasuke glowered at his partner while Blake pinched the bridge of her nose. Kurama continued despite this and pointed a shanky finger at Yang. But that's too much. The only way this could get any worse is if we ran into my female self. He rubbed his face inside. Thankfully, the chances of that are slim to none. Sasuke shook his head. My partner, the only idiot who doesn't know when not to say those accursed words or something like that. I should have tried to find Naruto. He wouldn't have jinxed me. Hey, I did not jinx us. Kurama snapped back with a frown. He gestured to the area. Look around you. I got us to the relic without any grim interference. There was a crash and a boom by the edge of the forest. Sasuke and Kurama looked towards the sound before Sasuke looked at his partner. You were saying that could have been anything, Kurama quickly replied. He tightened his grip on his staff and frowned as he looked back towards the unknown source by the crash. But maybe you should grab a relic just to be safe. Sasuke nodded and rushed over to a golden bishop, which he snatched off of the pedestal. He paused as he noted the other golden bishop remained as well and looked at the rest of the relics. The black and gold pieces were all in pairs, save for the respective king and queen of either set. If I'm right, then the teachers will bunch together the teams by the chess pieces, and there's already more than a few pairs that are gone. Sasuke narrowed his eyes with a quick thought. He snatched the other golden bishop with plans to give it to his other friend just to be safe. Incoming! The warning came from Blake, and Sasuke followed her gaze upwards towards the descending girl in red. Yang narrowed her eyes. Is that Ruby? Heads up! The falling Ruby was blindsided by a blur of multiple colors and sent to the woods. Kurama scratched his head. I think that was John. There was another crash, and a masked bear-like grim known as an Ursa broke through the forest on their right. It reared on its hinged legs before it fell forward with a death battle. On its back was a girl that made Sasuke freeze. Oh no, he groaned. Nora, unaware of the mental pain she'd unintentionally caused, looked down at the deceased Ursa with a frown. Aw, it's broken. Kurama looked at his partner with an arched brow. Friend of yours, do you remember when we agreed that there was no one more insufferable than Naruto on a sugar high? Yes, we were wrong. Sasuke gained a faraway look in his eyes. Horribly wrong. I'm starting to regret coming to Beacon, Kurama mumbled under his breath. So am I. Sasuke nodded slowly as Nora rushed by him without acknowledging his presence, something he thanked the heavens for vigorously. There was another crash to either left, and a massive scorpion-like grim with a white mask and a golden stinger broke through the woods with Pyrrha running right in front of it. Did she just run through the woods with a death stalker behind her? Blake asked incredulously. Really starting to regret coming to Beacon. Kurama amended his previous statement. Sasuke sighed. We should get paid for coming here, not the other way around. As if things couldn't get worse for the gathered teens, another grim burst through the forest, but this one had 2 students with it instead of just one. In front of the bull-like creature, a familiar blonde had his feet planted firmly in the ground while he struggled to keep the bull from flinging him off of its face. Haku, find the damn weak spot already! Naruto yelled at his partner, who was on the grim's back and trying to find a weak point to capitalize on. The back and sides are too heavily armored, Haku shouted back. He did a double take and widened his eyes when he saw that the other teens were in their path. He grew worried when none tried to move. Naruto, behind you! Naruto cracked open an eye and looked over the gaping group. His eyes landed on one figure in particular, and a grin spread across his face. Kurama, transfer now! Kurama snapped out of his stupor, and he reached out towards his blond friend. His red aura shone brightly before a bright stream shot out from Kurama's palm and collided with Naruto's back. Naruto's skin gained a reddish hue as Kurama's aura mixed with his own, but the other effect of the transfer slowed the Grimm's charge to a near halt as Naruto's strength doubled. Sasuke, think you can stun it long enough so that we can get away? Naruto asked with a glance over his shoulder. Sasuke nodded and released his hold on his sword. He held his hands up and closed his eyes as his black aura flared to life. A static started to jump around his hands for the briefest of seconds before clouds began to form overhead. Sasuke, hurry up and bring the rain! Naruto ordered. Haku, get ready to move! Sasuke's eyes snapped open and he threw his hand down just as a massive bolt of lightning descended from the sky onto the bull-like Grim. Before the lightning connected, the two partners currently engaging the Grim leaped away and landed in front of Kurama and Sasuke. The monster released a roar of pain as it was electrocuted before it slumped to the ground. Smoking, Sasuke panted and the sky started to clear up while Naruto whooped. Oh yeah, who are the best huntsmen? We are. Booyah! Correct me if I'm wrong, Naruto, but I think your celebration is a bit too early, Haku said. Naruto gave him a confused look and Haku pointed up. We have another problem. Naruto looked up and grimaced as he saw a Nevermore. He frowned and squinted his eyes. Wait, isn't that the sneeze girl? Is it wrong that I hope she falls? Kurama asked. Not really. Naruto, Sasuke, and Blake replied. Yes, Haku and the others said. Kurama shrugged and the options of the majority off. Meh, my opinion matters more to me than yours. Yang! The gathered teens looked to the side as Ruby jumped towards them from the tree. Her silver eyes looked on her sister. Ruby! Yang beamed and held her arms out to catch the younger girl. Nora! The eccentric orange-haired girl cheered as she popped up between the two sisters before they could be promptly reunited. Naruto snickered. I like her. Down, boy, Kurama ordered. He looked to the other side at the sound of a loud smack. Incoming redhead, 3 o'clock. I got this one, Naruto proclaimed as he stepped forward and held his arms out. He caught Pyrrha as she collided with his side, and he gave her a cheeky grin. Long time no see, Pyrrha. You don't write, you don't call. It's why I'm starting to think you don't like me. And Pyrrha smiled back at him as she stood up on her feet. Thank you, Naruto. Don't mention it, Naruto waved off with a smile. I'd call any pretty girl that was sent flying by a Death Stalker claw. Oh, good. We're all here. Now we can die together. Yang cheerfully threw in while Pyrrha flushed at the compliment. Help! The group looked up again at Wise's cry. Naruto crossed his arms over his chest. I think she's going to fall. She'll be fine. Kurama waved off his concern. She's falling, Ren and Sasuke pointed out. I think we'll get a reward for digging her mangled corpse a grave, Kurama asked. Dude, that was too dark. Naruto reprimanded his friend. Kurama snorted and rested Rikodo against his shoulder. Says you. No, I must agree with Naruto, Haku said. Even for a family with a reputation like Dishni, you should show kindness in situations like this. Kurama huffed and watched as John leapt from the trees towards her. Oh look, PJ's playing hero. Aw, they grow up so fast, Naruto said as he wiped a fake tear away from his eye. So, how's he going to protect them on the way down? Think his semblance is something like, I don't know, shield? Maybe it gives him the mad hops? Pyrrha grimaced as she watched John and Weiss fall. I don't know if John knows what a semblance is, let alone what his may be. You're kidding me, Sasuke blanched. He looked at Naruto and then gave up at the descending duo. Well, there's a blonde guy that's dumber than Naruto. I never thought I'd see the day. Oi, what's that supposed to mean, jackass? You know, Naruto, if you moved fast enough, I think you could. Never mind. Haku winced as John hit the ground with a loud smack, and Weiss fell directly on his spine. Oh, he's going to need medical attention. My hero. My back. Naruto chuckled and then cracked his knuckles. Well, I guess we should probably do something about the Nevermore and Death Stalker. Dibs on the flying one. I need at least another 5 minutes before I can use Kirin all out again. Sasuke noted as he looked at his sparking hand. He snapped his fingers and pulled out a golden bishop. Sasuke tossed the relic to his friend. Here, I figured you'd forget to snatch it if someone didn't grab it for you. Oi, right, relics? Naruto hummed as he looked it over. What do you think it is? Haku chuckled. That's a bishop from a chest, said Naruto. Oh, I knew that. This is all fine and dandy, Kurama said as he twisted Rikodo's pole and it shifted into a rifle form. Kurama started to fire off shots at the approaching Deathstalker. But we have bigger problems to worry about than whether or not the idiot can identify a chess piece. Oi, I got it, Ruby cried out as she rushed forward. Ruby, wait! Yang reached out as if to grab the girl inside. Crap! Not one for plans, is she? Naruto asked. He looked over and paled as he saw his monstrous grin start to stir. Haku, the bullet's getting up. Oh crap, baskets! Haku grimaced and prepared snowfall. Huh. So you say you say that too. I thought Naruto was the only one, Kurama mused. He looked at Sasuke. I hope they're not too much alike, right? Sasuke? Sasuke was staring at Haku with a small pink hue on his cheeks. Oi, Uchiha, calculator, snap out of it. Kurama barked as he snapped the boy out upside the head. He ignored the glare he received for the action and pointed at the Grimble. We got bigger problems than your confused sexual identity. Sasuke glared at his partner. I don't have a confused identity. Ignoring his two friends, Naruto let his semblance rise slightly until his skin began to glow lowly and brought his fist up. Alright, round two, big guy, and this time I'm charging at you. Wait, it's not up yet. We should stay together as long as there's no immediate threat. Haku suggested. Pyrrha nodded. She's right. Our best hope is to band together against these beasts until we can make an escape. Naruto snickered and Haku sighed as the red-headed girl misidentified him. Kurama let a smirk across his face since he could smell the gender, and Sasuke nodded in agreement with Pyrrha. He drew his sword, a curved Chinese saber, and spun it in his hand, so it unfolded into a bow with a dust launcher attached to the string. We have more support roles here. We can hang back and take pot shots at them, Sasuke said. He looked at Nora and Ren. Do you two have distance weaponry? Yep, duck butt. Nora chirped as she pulled out a grenade launcher. She ignored the glare Sasuke gave her as she patted the weapon lovingly. Magna Heel's ready to make things explode. Ren merely let bladed guns slide out from his sleeves and nodded. We can provide cover fire if necessary. I can as well, Pyrrha said with her spear now in a rifle form similar to Rikodu's, but without the golden scope. I'm more in tune with close combat though. And that's fine. Ruby! Yang's horrified cry cut Sasuke's off, and the group turned to take in the scenario. Apparently, the Nevermore had fired its feathers, each about as large as the average human, at the retreating scythe wielder. One feather snagged Ruby's red cloak, and the others had trapped Yang. All the while, the Deathstalker approached Ruby with ill intent. Well, she's boned, Kurama deadpanned. He was thankfully proven wrong as a white blur shot past Yang and halted the Deathstalker's golden string and right claw. Kurama's eyes twitched. She did that just to make me look like an ass. It's all about you, isn't it? Sasuke asked as he watched Ruby and Wise have a quick, heartfelt chat. Duh. Well, glad to see you two have made up, Yang said as she, Ruby, and Wise joined the group. Those aren't the words I would use, but I suppose it's fine, Wise muttered before she glared at Kurama and replied with a raised finger. Her attention went to the madly grinning Naruto, and her glare intensified. You, however, I still don't like. Naruto put his hands over his chest and gained a pained look. Oh, Miss Sneeze, the wound goes deep. It's Snee. Huh, the bird thing is coming back, John pointed out nervously. He grimaced as the Deathstalker's trapped claw and stinger started to crack the ice. Oh man, how are we going to fight both of these things? Well, we don't have to fight, Ruby said. Naruto cupped his mouth. Boo, no one likes a quitter. Shut up, Sasuke and Kurama snapped at him as they smacked him upside the head. God, my brain. Anyway, the objective is right in front of us, right? And Ruby gestured to the relics and grinned at the gathered teens. We just need to get the relics and go back to the cliff, don't we? Hey, yeah, that's right. John grinned. Grab the item and run to live another day. I can get behind that plan. But guys, Think of the unsupervised violence. Naruto whined. He hung his head as everyone seemed to ignore him. You guys are no fun. Haku smiled and patted his shoulder on the back. There, Naruto. I'm sure there'll be another chance for you to bust some heads. Naruto sighed and grinned at his partner. Yeah, you're probably right, Haku. Man, you're the best partner a guy could ask for. John and Ruby rushed up to the platforms and grabbed their own relics before they regrouped and ran south towards the cliffs. Young lingered behind for a second, which prompted Naruto and Blake to slow up. What is it? Blake asked her partner. Yang sent a meaningful glance at Ruby as she stopped and oversaw the group for a moment before she continued to lead the way. Naruto let a small laugh leave his mouth and intertwined his hands behind his head. This one of those proud sibling moments, isn't it? Something like that, Whisker Boy. Yang chuckled and patted his shoulder. Come on, before they leave us behind. The group of 12 broke through the woods in some misty ruins. Sasuke, at the head of the rear, looked up as the shadow passed overhead. Scatter! He cried, and the massive group did so. Ruby, Yang, Blake, and Weiss broke off to the right, and John, Pura, Ren, and Nora went left, while Sasuke, Kurama, Naruto, and Haku ran straight ahead. Their respective parents of the partners fell behind massive pillars in the area as the Livermore perched on the tower. Not far behind, the trees rustled and the Deathstalker burst through in a shrill cry. Oh man, run! John ordered as he led Pyrrha deeper into the ruins. Nora, distract the bird, Ren said as he reached to regroup with the others. Come on, hurry up, Sasuke said as he started to fire dust arrows at the Deathstalker to slow its approach. Well, we'll cover you, Kurama called to Ruby as he fired at the bird, while Nora laughed and did the same with her grenade launcher. The Nevermore let out an infuriated shriek before it swooped away to circle around. Nora let out a cheerful laugh. Bye bye, Birdie. Nora, heads up, Ren warned his partner as he and Blake fended off the Deathstalker before it could blindside her. Sasuke ran towards them and added his own melee to the group as his bow shifted back into a dowel sword. The trees rustled again, and a loud bellow made Naruto look up. A wild grin crossed his face as his eyes landed on the charging Grimble. Oh yeah, now it's round two, ugly. Kurama, got it. Kurama put his hand on Naruto's shoulder and filled him with red aura. He took his fire shots with Rikodu's rifle mode at the charging bull until Naruto's skin and eyes had turned a bright red. That's all I can give you for now. You'd lose control if I gave you any more. It'll be enough. Haku, cover them and keep an eye out for that Nevermore, Naruto told his partner before he shot forward with a crazed laugh. Come on, big guy. Let's rock this joint. Is he all right? Ruby asked as he helped to perform cover fire with her rifle while Yang went to join Nora in attacking the Deathstalker. This is what he lives for, Kurama said as he turned and fired at the approaching Nevermore. Anyone with good aim and long distance focus on the Nevermore. Mid to close range fighters take the Deathstalker. What about the bull? Haku asked. There was a long bang followed by a roar, and after that came another crazed laugh. Come on, ya pansy. That the best you got? Let Naruto hold it off for now, Kurama said as he took aim at the Nevermore's wing. The massive bird-like Grim let out another angry shriek and fled once more. Kurama looked back and took in the situation with the Deathstalker. Sasuke, I don't think it's big enough to cross the bridge. Did we retreat to the tower? Sasuke called back. He shifted his sword back into a bow and began to retreat while he took shots at the scorpion-like Grim. Fall back! Get to the tower! Go, go, go! Pyrrha ordered as she turned her spear into a rifle and joined Sasuke in providing cover fire. Yank, Blake, Weiss, and Nora ran past Ruby and Kurama with John not too far behind them. Haku and Ren stopped to provide some rapid fire support to Sasuke and Pyrrha once they made it to the middle of the bridge. Ruby and Kurama were the last to start their approach to the bridge and barely made it before the claw of their current foe slammed into their previous location. The Deathstalker let out an infuriated shriek when it couldn't reach them. Ruby looked to their left as another shriek rang through the air and her eyes went wide. Nevermore! Jump! Kurama cried out as the Nevermore flew low and took out a large portion of the stone bridge. Those that were crossing thankfully made it across without much trouble. John got up to his feet and went to the edge of the gap. He clenched his hand into a fist when he saw the Death Stalker approaching the four on the other side. We need to give them more support. Yes, we do, Kurama agreed as he looked past the Death Stalker and saw Naruto get knocked into the stone ruins by the Grim Bull. He scowled. Idiot needs to find the cap of his damn semblance before he gets himself killed. What are we waiting for? Let's go help them, Nora proclaimed. John shuffled easily for a moment. I don't think any of us could jump that far. Probably not, but I know how a lever works, Kurama said as he looked to Nora. He grabbed John and dragged the blonde back with him before he gave the girl a thumbs up. Nora grinned at him and pulled Magnhild from its place on the small of her back before it shifted into a large hammer that she lifted up over her head. No, this is a bad idea, bad idea, bad idea, John cried out as he saw Nora bring her hammer down. The portion of the bridge she struck sank downwards, while the portion John and Kurama stood on shot into the air like when they were fired from the springboard when they used earlier that morning. Nora laughed and stood on the head of Magnhild and pulled the trigger that fired a grenade, which propelled her across the gap. She flipped over her friends and brought her hammer over right on the Deathstalker's head, just as John landed in a heap beside Pyrrha and Kurama landed in a row next to Sasuke. About time you got here, Sasuke said with a wry grin. He looked past the Deathstalker at the bull that was currently driving Naruto through all of the stone wall on the right of the valley. That idiot's going to get himself killed. Yep, Kurama agreed. He looked over at Pyrrha as Nora unleashed another grenade into the Deathstalker's face. Can you four-handle this? Pyrrha looked at Ren, who nodded, and then at John, who drew his sword and shakenly did the same. She looked back with a small smile. We will take care of that Deathstalker. Go help Naruto. Don't have to tell us twice. Kurama grinned back as he and Sasuke ran past the Deathstalker on either side, while Haku rushed forward and climbed up the stuck stinger. They bypassed the Deathstalker and ran towards the sounds of roars and bangs. As he approached the Grimble, Naruto nowhere in sight. Haku flicked his wrist, and Snowfall shifted from a gun into a whip, with the dust needles forming the tip. And used the weapon to grab hold of the Grimble's horn as it ran past. You're just going to get pulled back, Sasuke cried out. Haku gave him a smile and pulled his hands in the air. A second later, and the air in front of his hand shimmered before it became a square ripple that solidified into a reflective glass. Haku vanished into the glass, and his whip accompanied him. The whips went taunt, and the Grim's bull head jerked out on the ground, which made a large trench as it did. Kurama blinked at the sight and then started when Haku stepped out of thin air next to him. How did you... My siblings, Haku said quickly as he twisted his wrist, and the whip unwound itself from the bull before it followed him through the glass and appeared beside him. Haku shifted Snowfall back into the gun form and looked at Kurama. I call it mirror. It allows me to travel quickly between short distances and avoid between time and space. Unfortunately, because of this passage, I cannot take another living person with me. Still, that's impressive, Kurama noted. He shifted Rikodo from the rifle form back into the staff and flicked his wrist. The blades that dangled from the ring of the staff went straight and aligned at the top to form a spear. The most I can do is take someone's aura and add it to my own or to another person's, or a transfer, as well as a high aura sense. Is that why your eyes are always concealed? Haku asked. Kurama hesitated for a moment. Yes. Enough chatter. Where's that idiot? Sasuke asked as he joined his partner and the pretty girl he met the night before. You thought you could keep me down, huh? Not so tough down here, a boisterous cry made the three look over towards the bull as Naruto charged at it. His grin was wild and crazed as his left fist was brought back behind his head. The punch was unleashed at the bull's chin, and the massive grin flew back a couple yards. Naruto didn't let up and continued to assault the Grim with a cackle of glee crossed with one of insanity. Kurama sighed. This is why I'm glad I became your partner, Sasuke. He can handle my Faunus aura as well as you can. Speaking of, think you can give me a charge to boost Kirin? Sasuke asked. Kurama nodded and placed his hand on Sasuke's shoulder. He looked at Haku as he transferred his aura to his partner. Help the idiot while we prepare to take the Grim down, will you? Haku gave a nod and a small smile. Of course, he is my partner. Good on you. Kurama grinned back as the feminine boy slipped into another one of his mirrors. Kurama looked at Sasuke. His eyes were shut and a small flush had painted itself across his face. Kurama's grin turned into a smirk. Well, it seems that someone has a bit of a crush on the new member of our little group. Kurama, shut up, Sasuke snapped with a frown. He turned his head away slightly. Besides, you saw her. She's gorgeous. Kurama's smirk widened. Sasuke thought Haku was a girl. Oh, he was so going to milk this for all that it was worth. Now all he had to do, aside from survive the monster Grim attack, was ensure that neither Naruto nor Haku himself ruined this for him. Keeping his thought in mind, Kurama only said one more thing to his partner. Well, at least I can tell Naruto that you're definitely over the librarian fetish. I never had a damn fetish. Up, down, left, right, back, hand, and hammer shot. Naruto cackled as he finished off his 10 punch combo with a double-fisted hammer punch to the Grim's snout. The Grim flew back and collapsed the remains of the stone wall while Naruto laughed. Eat that, bitch! I call it the KO Nami combo. A hand gently placed itself on Naruto's shoulder, and the red-eyed blonde turned to face the owner of said hand. Naruto nodded towards the other two, and then looked up as clouds formed overhead. I think we should probably fall back, Naruto. Naruto let out a whine as he looked from Hako to the slowly rising Grim Bull and back. But I'm winning. It would seem that way, but if you haven't noticed, none of your attacks have left any real damage to the Grim's body, Hako pointed out. They looked back as a loud bang echoed around the valley. The tower started to collapse after the Nevermore had flown through it, and the Deathstalker seemed to have the upper hand against the four that faced it. Not to mention, we could help out the others if we finish one off. Yeah, you're right. We should finish this. Naruto sighed as his eyes reverted back to a calm ocean blue. His skin lost the red sheen and once more gained a bright golden glow as he faced the rising Grimble. Naruto looked at Haku and arched a brow. If I can get it to expose its stomach, can you pin it down with that whip thing? Easily. I just need a clear path through his legs, Haku said with a nod. Naruto slammed his fists together and his gauntlets wired as two barrels popped up on the back of his fist. Alright, let's end this already with a big bang. He charged forward just as the Grim Bull stepped out of the rubble. His last attack caused. Naruto threw his left hand against his left hand behind him and twisted his fist as a shot fired from the barrel on his hand. The gunshot propelled him through the air to close the gap between him and the Grim, but before he could impact with its face, Naruto spun so that he could slide on his back under the Grim Bull's head. Easy hit. Easy. Eat this, you overgrown piece of stick. Naruto's right fist flew forward and collided with the Grim's shadowy skin before the barrel on the back of his head unleashed a large blast into the Grim. The Grimble reared back and was toppled as Haku used his semblance to quickly disappear through several of his mirrors. With Snowfall in its whip mode, Haku was able to form a tight binding that kept the Grimble's underbelly exposed. A fine ripple appeared next to Naruto, who grabbed the outstretched hand of his partner to pull him through and keep the whip taut. Sasuke, they've got it, Kurama announced as his aura mixed with Sasuke's, and the latter threw his hands towards the darkened sky. Sasuke, now red eyes snapped open, and he threw his hands down with a yell as a massive bolt of lightning, 3 times that of the last one that struck the Grimble, descended from the heavens. The Grimble, unable to move due to the vines, let out a bellow before the lightning bolt struck it. The monster was electrocuted to black whips, just as Ruby managed to decapitate the Nevermore, and the Deathstalker's body fell into the abyss below the collapsed tower. Haku twisted his wrist, and Snowfall returned to its gun mode, while Naruto let out a triumphant cry as he threw his fist into the air. Oh yeah, now that's what I'm talking about, Naruto exclaimed joyfully before he threw his arm around Haku's neck with a grin. We charboiled that thing. Indeed we did. Haku let a chuckle escape him while he slumped to the ground in mild exhaustion. I don't remember the last time I've made so many mirrors. That was cool too. I was right. You're an awesome partner. Naruto laughed as he waved at the others as they start to return their trek back towards Beacon. Yo, who else wants to go find another Grim? No! The other 10 yelled back at him. You guys are lame. Cardin Winchester, De- Dove, Bronzewind, Russell Thrush, and Skylark, you retrieved the Black Bishop pieces, and from this day forth, you four will work together as Team Cardinal, led by Team Cardin Winchester. A spin voice echoed through the auditorium as the teams for the first year students were announced. From the side behind their 8 other friends, Naruto and Haku clapped politely while Sasuke and Kurama glared or sneered at the two they had encountered in the forest. I was really hoping those guys would get eaten, Kurama muttered to his partner. Sasuke nodded, as was I. John Ark, Lyren, Pura Nikos, and Nora Valkyrie. Aspen nodded as the four in question stepped forward while the applause died down. The four you retrieved the white rook pieces. Naruto frowned, but I thought they were gold. Shush, Naruto. Haku nodded his partner with a small smile on his face as Aspen continued. The four of you will work together as Team Juniper, Aspen said. His next word made a few in the group of 12 blink in surprise or cheer, as Naruto did, led by John Ark. Yeah, go PJ! Kurama whooped from his place on the wall, while Naruto whistled loudly as the boys stuttered in surprise. They laughed with many others as Pyrrha's congratulatory shoulder punch knocked him to the ground. The room quieted once more as the four girls walked onto the stage, save for a few catcalls. Yang ate it up and gave a wave to the group, winking at Naruto when he gave his own whistle. Blake Belladonna, Ruby Rose, Wei Sni, and Yang Xiaolong, the four of you retrieved the White Knight pieces. From this day forward, you will work together as Team Ruby. Osmond let a small smile cross his face as he looked at the youngest of the four girls, led by Ruby Rose. Good job, Ruby. Haku nodded in approval next to Sasuke. Yeah, go Ruby! Naruto cheered while Kurama gave a whistle and clapped. Ruby was gobsmacked while her sister engulfed her in a hug. She could hardly talk as they walked off stage, and Naruto led his merry band of four up. And finally, Kurama Otsutsuki, Naruto Uzumaki, Uchiha Sasuke, and Haku Yuki. You four retrieved the wide bishop pieces. They were gold. Naruto cut in, which caused him to be elbowed by his partner. Ow. Luckily, Osman continued without taking notice of his interjection, and from henceforth you shall be known as Team Nox, led by Naruto Uzumaki. Yes, eat that, Khan Academy. Who's most likely to end up in jail or eaten by a Grim now? Naruto cheered with a wide grin as the room applauded for him. He brought Haku into a one-armed hug and lightly punched his shoulder. It's official. We're going to be the greatest team on Remnant. Haku chuckled and patted his partner's arm. If you say so, Naruto. But please, loosen your grip. Kurama chuckled while Sasuke sighed. We're never going to get hired after our first job. Probably not, Kurama said with a smile, but it's sure as hell going to be 4 fun years. That's if our leader doesn't get us expelled. What's the worst that could happen? End of chapter 3.